evening. I am calling the meeting to order for the committee as a whole, March 13, 2014, for Human Resources and Education. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hannigan.
Mr. Hennigan's out of town on business.
Mrs. Haynes.
Here.
Mr. Derman.
Here.
Mr. Loop.
Here.
Mr. Harrell.
Here.
Mrs. Tipton.
Here.
Mr. Jeter. Mrs. Seeley. Mr. Betancourt.
Here.
Mr. Womack.
I would think probably Mr. Womack, Ms. Seeley, and Mr. Jeter are stuck on 190 dealing with the wreck that just took place.
Mr. Panks.
Mr. Banks possibly the same problem.
Mr. Lamarck. Mr. Offrey.
Here.
Mrs. Belisario. Mrs. Mullet.
Present. Thank you so much. Would you please join me in standing for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance?
Dear Heavenly Father, bless each and one of us tonight while we come before you to do the business of St. Anna Parish School Board. Through Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Alford. We had no one requesting time on the agenda, so I'm going to move to item number 5, which is approval of the minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held February 6, 2014. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Derman and a second by Mr. Loop. Any comments from the board members? Comments from the public? All those in favor? All those opposed? All those who abstain? Okay, the motion carries. Item number 6 is instruction. Tonight we have Dr. Sanford with the STEM and the project Lead the Way. Dr. Sanford.
Good evening, Mrs. Mullet, Superintendent Foltz, board members. Tonight I'm here to give you an update on Project Lead the Way. It is a program of which I am very passionate, so I will try to be as brief as possible because we have some special guests to introduce as well. As you can see, by the year 2018, the prediction is that the United States will have more than 1.2 million unfulfilled STEM jobs. Science, technology, engineering, and math, because there will not be enough qualified workers to fill these positions. Consequently, in St. Tammany, we have an answer to that situation, and it is Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is a leading national provider of STEM programs. In fact, it ranks in the top 4. The 3 others include Girls Start, which is a week-long program for girls ages from grades 3 through 10. ST Math uses instructional software for math through computer gaming. 1080 Racing is a project-based program using radio-controlled cars. What sets apart Project Lead the Way is the fact that it's a continuous program from elementary through high school. It has embedded professional development. It's endorsed by corporations and leading organizations, as well as universities and colleges. A few statistics about the program. Currently in the United States, there are 5,200 schools using Project Lead the Way. There is at least one program in 50 different states. And you might ask, well, how many in Louisiana? There are 56 schools in Louisiana, and I am very proud to report that we have 6 schools in St. Tammany today using this particular program. Why the partnership? Why do we need a partnership? Well, our theme this year is community connections. We also are very versed in using a professional network of other individuals who can help us where we might have some weaknesses or deficiencies, as well as we need education and career development. And that is a push in the new agenda that's coming forth with the partnerships. So, Project Lead the Way, to be a national partner, you have to contribute a minimum of $6 million over a 3-year cycle. There are 4. The first is Autodesk Inventor, and that is some software that you'll hear about tonight. It's a 3D CAD program that is professional grade engineering software. The second is from the Kern Family Foundation. Mr. Kern was an engineer who developed the generator in the garage of his home, and he and his wife started a small company that you might have heard, Generac Power Systems. Lockheed Martin, they need no further explanation. We know who they are. And the last, in October of 2013, Chevron became a national provider and received the highest designation, and that was announced in the 2013 press release. Some other organizations which support Project Lead the Way include 3M, General Motors, College Board, John Deere, just to name a few. We have some programs at all 3 levels starting next year. Next year, at the elementary level, which is our middle school program, it will be called Launch. Launch is their newest part of Project Lead the Way. The 2 schools will be Lake Harbor Middle School and Little Oak Middle School. Those teachers will attend training this summer, and the way that the program is set up is using modules. We purchase VEX kits with this $20,000 grant that each school receives from Chevron, and the students will use these to build their robots or to engage in the instruction, and they will get a classroom set of iPads to go with that program. Topics might include light, sound, gravity, just to name a few. Currently, at the junior high level, our first 2 schools were Boyette and Mandeville Junior. Each of those schools received $41,000. They were started 3 years ago. Clearwood and Fontainebleau came on this past year. They also received the same $41,000 for each school. And next year, for the year 2014-15, Montleon will be added, and their teacher will go to training this summer. Again, professional development, VEX kits. They get desktop computers at a ratio of 1:18 in the classroom, as well as the Autodesk software and printer. To give you an idea, this is project-based learning. So that means that the students are given a topic. They have to do all of the investigation. One of the topics that's very unique to Louisiana, the teacher, Tracy Martinez, decided that during Mardi Gras season, the students would build Mardi Gras floats. They had to do the research. They had to find out the width of the street, the height of the traffic light, all of the specifications involved in building a float. They then went to their 3D software. They had to design this, and finally they had to build it using these VEX kits. So it's very engaging for the students. They actually love this. And as you see from the picture, these are 2 of the Clearwood students. At the high school level, we have 2 schools that are in year 1, and those schools are Mandeville and North Shore. Each of those schools received a $50,000 grant from Chevron. It paid for professional development for the teacher, 18 laptops, the printer, the software, the VEX kits, and other classroom materials. But you don't need me to tell you about that high school program, because we have our own Miss Jacqueline Dewey, and she has brought with her 3 of her students, Marlene McGraw, Michael Adams, and Rebecca Oppenheim. Ms. Dewey.
Good evening. Like Dr. Sanford said, she's very passionate about this program. I too am also very passionate about STEM education, or STEAM education, as we continue to add more and more art and design to the science, technology, engineering, and math. I also sponsor the FIRST robotics team at Mandeville High, and I have for the last 3 years, so this has been a growing passion of mine. So in the course, these students, I have a wide variety of students this year, from freshmen to seniors, this being the first year that it's taught. But just looking at these students take these ideas that they have in their head and make them into something that they can illustrate on a computer using this 3D modeling software, Autodesk Inventor. It's just really inspiring to see everything that they can do and the problems that they can solve. You know, through the course of the year, they have to reverse engineer. They have to take a product and break it down and see what makes it tick. They have to design puzzles that they then give to their classmates to solve. And we also do a number of presentations throughout the year where they have to design their presentation as if they are pitching to a client. So in addition to learning the CAD software and looking at the principles of design and engineering behind the project, they also need to be able to communicate that project to other people, and that makes this program just very, very valuable because it provides an authentic experience for these students, something that they can and will use as they go forward. So I'm going to ask my students to come up now. Michael.
Good evening. So, when I started off the program, Ms. Dewey told me that this year they were going to start a IED, Introduction to Engineering and Design, or Project Lead the Way class. So I thought I should take this. It could be fun. It proved to be a lot more than that. When we first started off with Autodesk, I could barely make a cube. Basically, I had no experience with any virtual design software whatsoever, but now I can design such elaborate items in this software. And when I first made my first item in Autodesk, it was a small puzzle piece that we had to make a 9x9 cube, and there were certain specifications. And so when I'd finished the project, one day I had a little free time left over, so I thought I should play with this software. And so I went into a separate tab of the program where I could make a sketch of it, a multi-view sketch. And then I started to realize these are tools that I had learned in drafting my sophomore year. And I'm now a junior and I am in drafting too. And I started seeing all these different drafting tools. And so I started to play with them and I started to understand them. And then when I got to certain lessons in drafting, I already had a great grasp on these ideas in drafting because I had already learned them in engineering, or I had had some experience with them. And also, when our build season began for robotics, I was put in charge of designing a certain part for the robot. And because of this class, I was able to design it in the designing software, Autodesk. But also, we have done group projects where I've been able to really communicate with other students and make a lot of friendships. But I've also built my social skills with many of the other students through this program. It's not just you sit there kind of isolated with your computer. You work together in a lot of situations, and you help solve problems together. Okay, thank you.
We'll just go down the line. Rebecca.
Evening. I'm Rebecca. I'm a senior at Mandeville High, and simply put, I wish I had this course from my freshman year onwards. This course has been enlightening in so many ways. I hope to study aerospace engineering when I go to college, and Project Lead the Way of a class has helped me understand what part is I'm going to play as an engineer, but also where I fit in with other engineering careers as well, which is really important. Working as a team, which I also get a lot from IED, is a lot of communication, because I didn't realize when I signed up for this course, it's really a language in its own, as you heard Michael earlier. multi-view sketches, dimensioning, extrusion. I knew none of this before I came here, and I'm also in the robotics team at school, and I was also put in charge of designing parts of the robot, and I was able to put forth a large contribution to this robot, which is an amazing feeling that I never had before I had this year. This is also really helpful going into college, as this sets me on either the same playing field or at an advantage to other college students going into college. I already know how to use this programming software or these design elements or this list of how I'm going to make a product and all of these sort of things that are going to be extremely useful when I'm going through college and focusing on getting a career. Also, this has just really been about a great environment. A lot of other students are there that want to be there, so it's a really great environment for producing other students who maybe weren't as interested in STEM fields before as they are when they're done taking the class. So, thank you.
And I'd like to call up Marlene. She is actually a graduate from the GTT class at Mandeville High. So this is her third year in a Project Lead the Way program. Second, sorry. She wasn't in it the first year.
Good evening. When I was in 8th grade, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I'm a straight A student. I like all of my classes, but I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to study. And GTT really opened me to the possibility of engineering. Before, all I knew about engineering was that they were boring people who knew a lot about math. And yeah, that was about it. But when I got to GTT, I found out that it was a lot more than that. It was problem solving, being creative, just helping other people in a way so basic and behind the scenes, and yet so forceful and impactful on everyone's lives. And immediately I knew that I wanted to continue this and join the IED class and also the robotics team. The Intro to Engineering class it has a real environment that I have never experienced in any of my other classrooms. It's a lot more open, and it's a great environment to learn in because everyone who's there wants to learn. We're all enthusiastic about figuring out ways to solve problems, and we get to bounce our ideas off one another or ask for help in CADing or drafting or doing whatever. And it's a really great experience. It challenges you to really think, and as like with the presentation, it really does. It helps you to gain confidence in speaking in front of a crowd, because a lot of people have nerves about that, but it helps you to feel comfortable because you're among people that you know and that you are friends with. So it's it's fun and hard, but fun. And if I wasn't moving, I would really love to continue all of that. So thank you.
And I didn't set that up. I had no idea what they were going to say, but I can tell you this. When I walk into a Project Lead the Way classroom, the light bulbs are clicking, and I would like to invite each of you to one of those classrooms to see this in action. I wish that we could bring it to you so that you could really see it, but to see those students turn on to something they've never done before is amazing. The first year I went to Boyette, they were having that parent night, and one of the engineering fathers of a student in the class walked up to his son, and he looked at the computer and he said, "That's the same software that I use at work." He said, "You're using this in your classroom?" So it's extremely powerful and the exact same thing that they need in industry. And I find that extremely fascinating that these young students, They have no inhibitions about that software. They just take it and run. So where are we headed? We are going to expand within our learning community and add more schools as we can. Chevron has been an absolutely wonderful partner. They're there for us when we need them. They were invited to come tonight, but unfortunately they had a conflict. But next week, we have a special presentation for you before the board meeting, and it's not the typical entertainment, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. But Leah Brown has told me that she will be here. In addition, we do plan on offering the specialization courses. As these 3 students have told you, it is a 4-course pathway at the high school model. And in the 3rd year, the students will actually get to specialize depending upon what's offered at their school. So they could choose, or we would have the ability to choose between such as civil engineering, biomedical, so that we can give the students a taste within the pathways. It fits very easily into the 2 new diploma pathways, university or Jumpstart. It doesn't matter if you're going to college or if you're going directly to work, because this will make a seamless transition. We are in communication with our partner, North Shore Technical College, as they build their new STEM facility, and we hope that the programming there, which we have been told will involve some digital electronics and some fiber optics, we see this as being a seamless way to give those students a leg up if they choose that particular pathway. So it is my immense desire to continue to grow this program. The students, as I was talking with them earlier, there are opportunities for them to get dual enrollment. There are opportunities for them to articulate with many different universities. There are 150 colleges and universities that recognize Project Lead the Way and give students preferential admission. They are giving the students scholarships. They are allowing them to skip that first level of engineering and go directly into the more advanced classes. And we see this as a positive for our students. So we're headed in the right direction, and with a partner like Chevron at the table who has contributed over, you ready? $500,000 to St. Tammany Parish for Project Lead the Way alone, not including all of the other STEM things that they do for us, but they are a great partner to have at the table. So in closing, I will tell you that the talented workforce that we need for tomorrow, we are going to build. You've heard these students talk about being problem solvers, working in collaborative teams, as well as being critical thinkers. These are skills that you need regardless if you go to college or if you go to work. And I'll open for questions.
Dr. Sanford, thank you so much. Michael and Rebecca and Marlene, Dr. Sanford, you could not have had 3 better advocates for this program. They're just inspiring, and you've helped me to understand my engineer husband a lot better tonight. So I'm excited. Open questions. Mr. Durman?
Dr. Sanford, thank you so much. I mean, it's very, very enlightening, and this is what we really hope to do with our school system, our students, and our community. So I want to thank you for that. Also, I'd like to thank Chevron and all of our other partners that join us in this endeavor. Without them, this is impossible to do. So with them, who knows?
Who knows?
We may reach the moon.
The sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. Thank you so much. And thanks to Chevron and all of our other partners.
Thank you. Mr. Betancourt?
Thank you. Dr. Sanford, these are elective courses, or is this a club setting like the robotics team?
No, so these are elective courses, and we hope to build a pathway so that the students will get more than just a high school diploma as a result of this. We want them to get some college experience, college admission requirements. I mean, we're going to really push. There are quite a number of universities that are recognizing this, and my plan will be to get LSU on board. I will be working with the network team to try to get them to the table.
All right, what would the prerequisites for?
There
say,
are none.
None for
There
like
are
an
none.
incoming freshman?
And the fabulous thing about this is that we're moving to the elementary level with the program launch to really spark their interest and then see this as a continuous feed all the way through high school, even into college or the workforce. So that's the beauty of it.
Okay, can you tell me anything more about these 3D printers?
I wish I could. They're expensive and
one
they're
of you-
fabulous.
Students tell me? I see hands going up.
Yes, they know more
Because
than
I'm
me.
told like they create things. You just punch in numbers and you end up with
You're
a
gonna
glass
get
of
your
water
answer.
or something.
Hi. So would you just like a basic description of what it is for a 3D printer and how we make the items that it prints?
Don't go
Keep
too
it really
deep.
simple.
Okay.
Keep it really-
Don't go too deep.
So in Inventor, we'll create an item. I don't want to go too deep into how you create it because it can get very frustrating. But whenever you create it, you would change the file into the format that needs to be. We put it in the Cube file or the Cube program for the printer. We set the scale that we want. We make it however big or little we want. And then we put it on a flash drive, or we can send it over Wi-Fi to the printer. And what the printer does is it gets a small feet of plastic into the top, and it melts it into a very, very thin little wire of plastic. And what it does, it takes that 3D model and it says, okay, the plate that it's going to be printed on needs to move that way so much. The head of the jet needs to move this way so much. And it'll just place lines of plastic, and it'll create layer upon layer, hundreds and hundreds of layers to print what you want. And you can make it hollow, you can make it structured, or you can make it solid. And that's what we use for the 3D printer.
Fantastic. Thank you for the explanation. And I have one other question, Dr. Sanford.
Yes.
I'm done with that guy.
Maybe I can answer. I don't know. I may have to get back up.
Lewis's job's in jeopardy.
Around the junior high part of this presentation, you talked about they had to design like a Mardi Gras float.
Right, that's
Did
just
they
an
actually
example.
build a full-size
No,
float
sir.
or a scale
A
model?
scale model. A scale
Okay.
model using the VEX equipment.
It sounds like a great program.
It is wonderful. Please go by one of those schools and take a look.
Thank y'all, and thank you, students. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Bettencourt. Mr. Alford?
Thank you. Dr. Stanford, great presentation.
Thank you.
I was looking at the amount of dollars that Chevron, you said, did about 500,000. About for each high school, how much did you have to use to set up one high school?
To set up one high school, the amount that we got from Chevron was about $50,000. Now, because we already have certain equipment in our classrooms, such as Promethean boards, such as the projectors, you know, all of those things are in addition to. So did we have to put some dollars with that? Yes, we have to put some dollars with that. On average, for a high school, I would say that they may spend $5,000 on top of this.
Okay. I was looking at the other 4 high schools. How long will it take for them to get on board with this?
Well, I don't think it's in terms of how, they're very interested. It's finding the dollars to get everyone on board, because to bring
That's why I asked
to,
the
to
question about
bring
dollars.
to bring 4 more on at the high school level, you're looking at $200,000 that we would need. I've already been in conversation with Project Lead the Way and identified 2 schools to bring on board. So I've kind of been told that we'll get 2 more the following year, and I have a meeting next week with them, so we'll see.
So 2 next year and 2 the following year.
We're going to have 3 this coming school year.
Okay.
Lakeshore, Fontainebleau High, and Montleon. And then the year after, I've already been told that we'll get 2 more. And my hope is, when I meet with them next week, that I can leverage some more schools, because we do have the interest.
Right. And just for, I was a HR manager for Rocketdyne over at Stennis Space Center. And the printer, the 3D printer, we used to make pumps. I mean, it's amazing to see
amazing.
that stuff work. And it's good to see the high school students getting a chance to see this new technology. And they're going to invent some more new technology that they'll be talking about.
Absolutely, we're in good hands.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Tipton?
Thank you, Mrs. Mullin. Dr. Sanford,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is so exciting. I just had one quick question
Sure.
for you. Did you state that it's in the third year where the specializations occur?
The third year is the specialization course, and the hope is, we have a conference next week here locally in Covington. One of the private schools, St. Paul's, also has this program, and they're hosting the conference for Project Lead the Way there. And I'm very proud to say that our schools will be represented very well at this conference. So we're going to have some conversations about which specialization course each high school will decide upon. And then the fourth course is a capstone course where the students are given a project and kind of almost like an independent project to do.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One other quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that kind of like that project would be comparable to the Avalon project at Fontainebleau, or is that a
Yes,
little?
it is comparable to that.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Derman?
Thank you, Ms. Mullen. Dr. Sanford, is this somewhat comparable to what the state's now proposing us to do with Jump Start? Or does it tie in some kind
It's
of way?
going to tie in. It's going to tie in to either the university pathway, because as you know, our students have access to 28 courses. So even if these 4 courses were elective courses, and I know Ms. Dewey has spoken with me about, maybe some art credit or something along that line for some of these credits, we will definitely pursue that. I don't see this in conflict in any way with either of those pathways. I see this very complementary. And, Jumpstart or University Pathway will work with Project Lead the Way.
So maybe we get some funding from them for this?
We'll try.
Well, we need to work on that one then. Still, absolutely great project, and thank you so much.
Mrs. Bellisario?
Thank you. If I recall, you said at the middle school level it's called Launch?
Yes, the program's called Launch,
Okay.
and it's not, it's almost like standalone modules, so it can be taught in really any grade level from, I believe it's 4 through 6.
Okay. Is there a project name for the junior high or the high
The
school?
junior high program is called Gateway to Technology, and the high school project is called Principles of Engineering, or Engineering Design, I believe it is.
I'm still not too sure about, like at the high school level, would this be a course that would be elected? Or-
Elective credit, right now, it is elective
Okay.
credit.
So what do you do at the junior high and the middle school? Is it worked into
It's-
math or some other
It's
subject?
elective credit, so it is an elective that they choose. At junior high.
What about middle school?
Middle school, it's going to augment and be incorporated into the content area classes such as math and science. It even would fit maybe in English if they were studying sound, say, for example.
So each of those teachers would have to be
Yes,
doing a
and the
part
way
of
that
it.
the elementary program works is we'll have a lead teacher this summer who will attend training, and their training, I believe, is at University of Texas Tyler. They'll go for a 3-day training, so the lead teacher will come back and become the master teacher for that campus, and then we'll train all of his or her peers on the campus. Yes, ma'am.
We are all done. Thank you so
Okay,
very
thank you,
much.
and I would like to thank
Wonderful.
Mandeville High
Yes,
for coming tonight and sharing with you guys.
thank you. With no further business, we are going to adjourn the meeting and start the next one in 5 minutes. Thank you.
All right, we're going to call the meeting to order for the St. Anthony Parish School Board Committee as a whole, March 13, 2014, Business Affairs and Administrative Meeting. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. Derman,
Here.
Mr. Hannigan, Mrs. Heinz. Mr. Loop. Mr. Harrell. Mrs. Tipton. Mr. Jeter. Mrs. Seeley. Mrs. Mullet.
Present.
Mr. Betancourt. Mr. Womack. Mr. Panks. Mr. Lamarck. Mr. Alfred. Mrs. Bellisario.
Thank you very much. We're going to dispense with the invocation and pledge at this time, and there was no one that requested time on the agenda. So we're going to move right to item 4, which is approval of the minutes for the committee as a whole meeting held February 6, 2014. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Womack, second. Second by Ms. Heinz. Is there any questions or comments by board members? By the public? Seeing none, we'll all vote. Please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Y'all know what y'all voted for? Okay, we voted to approve those minutes.
We know.
All right. I better not say what I was going to say. Consideration of resolution authorizing St. Tammany Parish School System intervening as a plaintiff in the litigation entitled St. John Parish School Board in all versus State of Louisiana in all, docket number 622, 693, in the 19th Judicial District Court, and to engage special counsel to represent the St. Tammany Parish School System therein. Can I get a motion on this? And moved by Mr. Womack, seconded by Ms. Seeley. And now we're going to open up for discussion for board members, if there is any. Mr. Womack, Mr. Lamarck, I'm sorry. All right, maybe would he ask Mr. Foltz, or would he direct that to?
I'll be glad to, or Ms. Heinz, or whoever you prefer, Ms. Heinz. Okay. This has been a discussion that's been going on for quite a while on whether to join this lawsuit dealing with which was started by St. John the Baptist School System to recoup MFP monies from prior years. I think 46 school districts at this point have now joined into the lawsuit. And Mr. Petuzak has been in communication with Mr. Bob Hammonds and others that have participated in this. And tonight we put this on the agenda for your discussion. Mr. Petuzak, you want to give us an overview of the legal ramifications that we're dealing with this?
The action has already been begun. It was initiated initially as a class action suit, which the court refused to certify. And so we're proceeding as each of us as intervening plaintiffs, other than St. John the Baptist, which of course started the suit. What is sought to be accomplished is to have the computation of the MFP to be based upon the 2.75% being added on for the years 10, 11, and 11, 12, such that we would have a larger per pupil amount to be applied with respect to the application of the formula. If we're successful, there will be a recovery of approximately $200 million. If the court doesn't agree to give us the 2.75 for the first 2 years, then the recovery would be about $60 million, thereabouts. So at this point, the one thing that was holding it up is, if you notice, this is a contingency fee contract, which there was some issue as to whether or not a political subdivision or even a state agency could enter into contingency fee contracts. But the Attorney General had a case that just was decided this past week, and the court agreed that you can have a contingency fee contract, and so therefore we will be getting the approval of the Attorney General with respect to this contract. For us and all the other similarly situated. It's a pretty good deal on whole, the way it was originally set up for a contingency, in terms of it costs us nothing if we don't get anything, which is a good deal. This wasn't initially decided by Bob, but he came in on board with it because it's not necessarily a drop dead winner, but nonetheless it's a good thing for the school boards the way it's set up. Any questions?
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hines, did you want to comment anything before we move on to other board members?
Well, I'll just comment that we had discussed this in small groups. There didn't seem to be a lot of interest in joining in at that time, although there was some interest. I made the decision not to put it on the agenda, even though at that time, even though it is a prerogative of any board member to put it on the agenda themselves, should they so request. As more school boards came on board with it, I just decided it was time to put it on the agenda. So whether, we'll recover any of these funds or not, I don't know. But that's where we stand. We have to make a decision about whether we want to join or not.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Smollett.
I just have a couple of comments. Reading over all the information through the media and other places, I really feel that we need to join this lawsuit. I feel like we are the stewards of the public's money. And if this money is owed to our students and to our school system, then we need to fight for the money that is owed to our students. And with that being said, I feel like we need to join this lawsuit, and that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Alfred.
Thanks. Harry, I did have a question, Harry. If we do not join this lawsuit, will we be able to receive any of these funds?
In light of the state's action to the president, I would seriously doubt that.
That's what I thought, and that's why I was.
But I can't guess in the future. But they're not willing to give anything up without a fight. So I would be surprised if you don't have the hammer of a lawsuit. I doubt you're going to get that money.
That's what I thought, and that's why I was kind of in favor of joining the lawsuit early on. But we had some opposition with our board members. But I think we should join this because this is quite a few dollars that we're going to need for our children, just like Robin said. So I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other board members? Mr. Luke?
Thank you, Mr. Dermott. I have to agree with Ms. Mullet. We've had, as we know in the past few years, we're fighting for every single dollar of MFP money any way we can get it. We have so many enemies against us trying to hold back on some of this. This is the only thing we can come up to is to have another lawsuit and be part of it to try and get what's due us and what's due the children in this parish, as was said. So we almost have ourselves backed up against the wall with this. We have to have every dollar we can get if that's the only way, and we've been successful with the other lawsuits recently. I believe we should be a part of this. 45 other parishes are feeling the same pinch and want to get this money, so that's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luke. Mr. Womack.
Well, I'm going to put it about as simple as Harry put it. Nothing complex, but I really don't feel like they're giving us anything. I feel like this money is money that was long overdue every child in this state. This parish, very much so part of it too. But the simple fact is, if you don't ASK, you don't GET. You got to be asked to be told yes or no. So let's get it. Let's get our part of it.
Thank you. Ms. Mullet.
I just wanted to state, I do believe that I'm under the understanding that it is not a class action. So if we do not join this lawsuit, then we do not get any of the monies that will come to the other districts who do decide that it's worth fighting for.
Thank you. Mr. Lamar.
Thank you, Mike. I've been in favor of this lawsuit from the day it first happened. But it looked like no one else was going to ask a question. That's why I asked what it was about. It's not just that if we don't enter it, we don't get anything. That's true. But more important than that is that we show solidarity with the rest of the school boards across the state. They look to us, and we need to support them. That's it.
Thank you. I actually got a question myself. Has any other board members got any other questions? Mr. Foltz, I don't know if I'm going to direct this to you and you direct it wherever, but the actual estimated, amount that we're looking at would be how much
I think about 5.5 million per year.
per year? Okay, and then also, the way I understand the MFP and the growth factor, it's kind of like compounding interest, that sets a level, and then the next year it sets another level at
Correct.
2.75, then it sets another level,
Right.
and then another level.
Right.
So, in essence, what we've done is been shortchanged our growth, and our baseline each year has been, it just reverts back down and reverts back down, even though expenses are going up. And I mean, people don't understand a lot, but our retirement costs and everything have escalated dramatically. Some other costs increase. So even though those costs are going up to us and unfunded mandates are coming down to us, our revenue is stagnant from our MFP. So I think that I agree with many of the other board members. I think after reviewing and seeing the information that's come forth to us lately regarding this lawsuit, it's the prudent thing to do is to join in so that we set that bar back up where it should be, so that we can have more projects like we had in our other previous committee that set our students apart. And I mean, that's where funding can come from. So I think it's a priority for us to do such. So
The document presented to me called Exhibit A, I think from the Louisiana School Board Association that was sent to me, showed St. Tammany at a $5.6 million per year.
per year.
And I'd said 5.5, so.
Excellent. So, I mean, that's a substantial amount of money, and if we're looking at, like I said, these STEM programs and everything else that we looked at tonight, I mean, we could have those in every one of our high schools if that's what we saw fit to do with the money. So I think it's imperative that we follow our directive here. So, with that being said, is there any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Barrios? I know you got to state your name, so.
All right, retired teacher. I would hope that you all would join this lawsuit, and I just wanted to say that I hope you consider that there's more than just money to be made from this lawsuit. The state has persisted in continuing to take control away from the local school systems and from the voters, and it's a shame that the courts have to be the vehicle through which some of that control can be taken back. But I think it's one of several steps that need to be taken, and I'm a hardliner, but I hope that that this helps and makes a statement, and eventually the state will see that that they need to collaborate with the locals and give back our control. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered. Thank y'all. Okay. Now we're moving on to the item 6, which is administrative, and Mr. Jabby, I'm going to turn that over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Durman, members of the board. Tonight we have a recommendation before you to accept the changes to the district handbook for students and parents. Mr. Byron Williams chairs that committee each year, and he's here to give you a report from that, and hopefully out of that we'll get a recommendation for these changes. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Javier, Mr. Dearman, Mr. Foss, members of the board. The district handbook committee met on February 26th at Fontainebleau Junior High School. 17 of the 20 members were in attendance, and as a result of that meeting, 3 recommendations were brought forward to you tonight concerning changes to the handbook. I guess what I'll do is go through each one of them at a time and allow for you all for discussion before you vote on them. You should have a handbook at your desk as well as the copies of the proposals. If you want to, you'd like to turn to page 2. On page 2, under the category of role of the home, the committee decided to add, based off of recommendations from the central office, to students shall arrive to school no earlier than 30 minutes prior to the start bell and depart from school no later than 30 minutes after the dismissal bell each day. That will be placed at the bottom of role of the home. The next bullet past, send children to school ready to learn. and I'll turn it over for discussion, if there's any.
Yes, we're gonna need a motion, but I think, are we gonna do it all in one, or we're gonna do them individually, or how? Yeah, let's go through all of it, and then we'll come back to each item by board members.
The second
Hold on,
change.
Mr. Williams, hold on just a second. Ms. Bellisario, she's persistent.
I am. Thank you. Could you just tell us perhaps what brought this on and how different that is? What are we trying to correct?
A lot of the principals, I guess at the times that we're in now, arriving at school and finding kids with parents, particularly junior highs and high schools, because we have some daycare at most elementary schools, but kids are on the campus way too early before we have supervision. And the handbook, as I've been told many times by parents, is like a constitution. If it's not in the handbook, you know, I can do it. So I think this is where it was driven from.
It's for safety.
Wait a minute, are we gonna go through the questions, or we're gonna wait, like we said, and go through all of them, and then come back with our questions? Let's do that. Let's go through all of the recommendations, and then we'll come back and go through each item.
Okay. Page 7, under student dress code for males, as well as it would be under student dress code for females. The recommendation was to change, students in grade 9 through 12 are required to wear school IDs visible above the waist during regular school hours. If a required school uniform is worn, then the administrator may elect not to require IDs. The recommendation was to change that to students in grades 9 through 12 and students in grades 6 through 8, where the 6th grade is part of the junior high, are required to wear student school IDs visible above the waist during school hours. For schools that have adopted uniform policy, the administrator may elect not to require wearing school IDs. And it's the same category for under dress code for females. That would change also. And finally, the last recommendation on page 10, under group category 2, 2-15, they would like to change to possession or use of electronic cigarettes. This is one that we come to you from time to time. Things change in society. New things pop up. We don't have them in the handbook, you know. And because we don't have it in the handbook, people think that it's allowable. So we are seeing some schools had a increase in students bringing these electronic cigarettes to school and using them. And I think our friends in Baton Rouge have quite a few proposals that they're making concerning electronic cigarettes. This is another one that we have to catch up with that's out there.
I think it's important to know in the handbook, we give discretion in that other things that are disruptive to the learning environment, and certainly that catches a lot of things. But when we have the opportunity to see things such as we're seeing here with these electronic cigarettes being the latest, greatest fad, that it's important to go ahead and be specific as possible. And that to say that it's not in the handbook right now, we still don't allow it because it becomes under other areas. But to give us more direction and more clarity, it's good to, to be specific as possible.
Okay, thank you. I guess can I get a motion on this to start with, and then we'll discuss. Ms. Heinz made the motion, Ms. Mullet seconded. Okay, now I'm going to open up the floor to questions and discussions. Ms. Seeley.
On the number 1 issue with the students arriving earlier than 30 minutes prior to that time that they begin, the only concern I might have with that is maybe a clause. I don't know if this is needed. You all would know better than any of us, but for field trip purposes, occasionally they have students that have to arrive at an early time for field trips.
Yes, ma'am. Those type of things are already set up by the administrators. You know, that information goes out to the parents, what time the field trip is leaving, what time the kids are expected, as well as after-school activities. For example, band practice, basketball practice, and things of that nature. Parents are already notified by the administration of those times. But what the principals, what the principals are dealing with now are, in particular, like I said, it was the junior high and high school principals in the committee are, they're there well after school, and they go out and there's kids that's still there that's not a part of any of these activities. And, well, mom said to stay here until she comes and pick me up, which is, an hour or 2 hours after school. And the principals just don't have people there to monitor that.
Thank you.
And I think it's going to be important for us as a school system to do a good job of notifying parents of such and giving them enough advance notice that indeed we are changing that. So we will make that part of our, letter that goes home, if indeed that this does pass.
Okay, thank you. And what I'd like to do is, let's just address each one as in order so that we'll work our way through it. So is there any other questions by board members concerning change number 1? Mr. Alfred.
The bus route for buses coming in, they don't come in more than a half an hour earlier than that, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
And
that rule is already, excuse me, that rule is already in place for the buses.
And for leaving.
And we have people on
half hour
duty and when they get there and people on duty when they leave.
Gotcha.
Just making it all the same.
Perfect.
Okay, any more questions by board members on item 1? Mr. Harrell.
I'm wondering if we should, that 30 minutes after dismissal bell, you said that's covered by the principal. Should that be added that, or by administration changes for practices or something?
Well, for after-school activities, we have staff that's responsible. For example, if the basketball coach have practice from after school to 5:30, then he's responsible to notify those parents what time practice in and let those parents know what time to pick them up. This is kind of just, some parents will use the school as a babysitter, without the school's knowledge or anything of that nature.
Okay, any other questions on number 1? All right, let's move to number 2. Is there any discussion for the changes regarding number 2? Ms. Hines.
Mr. Williams, I just wanted to know the reasoning for schools that have adopted the uniform policy. The administrator may elect not to require wearing school IDs. I do understand that junior highs probably don't want the IDs, but for the high schools, especially a large high school, why are we giving the administrator that option?
I think in the past, it's been the uniform has served as a way to identify someone being at the school as being a student at the school. That was the rationale. If you have a school uniform,
right,
you're a student at the school. If you don't have a uniform and we need to know you're a student at the school, then we ask you to show your ID unless the principal wants to have both. So what you have here is just a continuation of that into the junior high setting.
Well, my concern is if you're at a high school, and it's a large high school, if there was a child who was being disruptive, say in the hall or something, it's just easier for the teacher to see who the student is because they have their ID on. I just think for
We're certainly, if that's the wish of the board,
high school settings.
how many do you know, Byron, how many of the high schools do the uniform and the ID?
I didn't do the high schools because basically this derived from it was a junior high request.
Right.
The junior highs that have 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, some principals want to have the uniform and the ID because of the 6th grade being a younger group, and they like to, 6th graders have this ID, 7th graders have that ID. They can distinguish between the 3 groups. So they wanted that enforcement there. The rule already said to the high schools that, you can have, IDs are required unless you're in uniform. And to my knowledge, all of our high schools, I think, have IDs.
The ID with the uniform.
Yeah, every one of them.
Now, most of them don't have uniforms in high school.
Right, not all have uniforms, but all require IDs.
I'll tell you what, Ms. Heights, how about if this does indeed pass out of committee tonight, for next Thursday's meeting, we'll give you a list of the high schools, uniforms, ID, whether it's both or one or the other.
I have that information for junior highs. I brought that.
I know, we're going to have it we'll give it for high schools too.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Any other?
If somebody wants to amend the motion next week, we could do that and change that. And I'll have Byron touch base with some of the high school principals too and get a little more input between now and next week.
Ms. Bellisario.
Do any of our schools have ID badges if they're under 6th grade?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Okay, and I tend to share Ms. Heinz's concern. I would like to see that list next week
Sure.
for junior high and high school.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Lamar.
An ID badge is pretty much a definitive statement that you belong at that school, whereas a uniform is not necessarily that. We've been doing uniforms for a long time. You can go down to Goodwill and get a uniform anytime you want. What's the purpose of giving them the option of not wearing an ID? I don't understand if they're going to wear uniforms, why can't they wear their ID as well?
Well-
I want to say that part of this policy is not new. This board approved that a while back. That has always been there, where the principal has the option. We've not had any problems with that, but I mean, it's y'all's wishes if y'all want to change that after y'all see the information.
It's always been the principal's option, but what I'm hearing is the high schools do both, correct?
The high schools, to my knowledge, all the ones that have uniforms still require the ID. The ones that don't have a uniform, they require the ID. To my knowledge, all high schools have an ID.
Even though they, under the current policy, they would have the option not to do it, but they're doing it anyway. So that's why I want to give you the report next week. And if all of them are do it, let's go ahead and put it into policy and clean it up for everybody. Right, that's fine. That's fine. It is. I mean, that's why we wanted to extend it to the junior high.
That's what this was. We're trying to extend that.
But let's
same
clean up the other part of it too.
Okay.
All right, hold up, Ms. Seeley.
I have one more statement to make as far as the IDs go. The policemen, the resource officers find that as an added opportunity to identify students when necessary. And I believe it's important that they wear the IDs, whether they're in uniform or not. And that's pretty much just my statement there. Thank you.
And I think that's why I agree with you. That's why at all the high schools where the school resource officers are, every high school has the IDs. And I think probably it grew into that because of recommendations from law enforcement.
Okay, any other questions by board members? All right, well, number 3 is just the same thing as number 2, just females.
Right.
So we're going to move on to item 4. So any questions or comments about the change for item 4? Seeing none, we're going to move to the change for number 5. Any comments or questions? All right.
That's
It's just a
to
number.
renumber the ones after.
That's fine, I'm just going through them.
All right.
All right. All right, with all that being said, we have a motion on the floor to approve the changes.
What I'd rather do is approve it as it is tonight and let me bring that report to you and then someone.
I think we're going to do it at the
full board meeting.
board.
That way we have the information in front of us.
I mean, we're going to readdress it at
Sure.
the full board.
I move that we table it.
No,
You don't table
no,
it. How do we handle that?
because it's got to come out of this committee. If we table it, it stays here another
Well,
month.
somebody can make a substitute motion next
Okay,
week.
that's what I mean. What process do we use?
Yeah, we just make amend it.
Okay, I would.
If Ms. Seeley, the reason we meet in February every year is to bring it to you all in March, because we have to change this and print 50,000 and have them in place for next year. So the longer it's delayed, the more pressure we have in getting it out in time for the new school year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wood. Any questions or comments from the public? I'm sorry. Somebody?
Did you get a motion to approve it?
Yes, we did. And any comments or questions by the public? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? So ordered. Okay.
Thanks.
So we got the uniform and all that fixed. And
Good job, Byron.
okay, Mr. Jabby, you still on deck?
Yes, sir. Thank you. In your packet, you have a memo from me to you talking about sexual harassment training that's required from everyone yearly, and we're trying to make it a little bit more convenient for you this year. We've talked before about the software that we have for training called Safe Schools. The attachment to this memo tells you about the Safe Schools, tells you how to get on the Safe Schools, and then you can go in and do your sexual harassment training. It will automatically be documented there. You don't necessarily need to print a certificate unless you want one for yourself. We can always go to the system and print the certificates if we need them, and it tracks it for us. So I was just bringing that to your attention to where you could go ahead and do that, and that has to be done each year. So you can go ahead and start that training anytime you would like.
Mr. Chabby, does this take any board action, or is this just for information?
This is information.
Okay.
Easier way for you to go about getting your training done.
And if I could, Mr. Derman, add to that, I'm really excited about this piece of software. We've done a lot of studying and looked at a lot of different ones, and this is something that we really believe that we can grow even into other areas and use for different situations that come up, not only with students, but also with employees. The nice part about this package and this company, they allow us to totally tweak it and design it for our school system. Many of the others that we looked at, you kind of had to take what they were offered or not. This one allows us to tweak it, fit it right into our rules and regulations, fit it right into the state regulations as well as federal guidelines. So I think this is something that will start with the sexual harassment training, but something we'll certainly grow into all other areas of the school system, both employees and students, as we learn more about it.
Sounds very good. Thank you. Any comments or questions by board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to the monthly maintenance and custodial report. Mr. Javin.
Mr. Singletary and his staff is here in case you have any questions. Your report is in your packet.
Any questions by board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to risk management.
Mr. Gaspard is here if you have any questions. The report is in your packet.
Any questions by board members? Seeing none, we'll move on to our monthly transportation report.
We've got some ill members of our staff, but Ms. Masters is here for the transportation report. Ms. Amy is out ill, and so is Ms. Buell. But if you have any questions, Ms. Masters is here to help you with that.
Any questions by board members? Mr. Jebby, I actually have one, and it really deals with the recent change that Mr. Harrell was very helpful with getting passed with the Bessie board. And I know Mr. Foltz sent out a request about when will that take effect. Did we get a response?
I did, and I think I even CC'd you, Mr. Darwin.
Hey, man. I don't always, I'm busy working my day job too, I don't always see.
I don't want you to feel left out. August 20th, I believe? Yes. August 20th, it will go into effect. Since you brought the topic up, I did want to thank Mr. Harrell, Mr. Derman. I know Mr. Jabby worked on it as well as Danny Garrett. And this, we'll give you some more information at the next meeting because it just happened. But it's an opportunity for buses that have been on the road in our system. It will definitely be something that will be beneficial to our drivers as well as trying to get subs and other means to make sure that buses that we know are safe and buses that we've been taking care of in our school system will continue to be on the road and service the students in our school system for years to come. So I think it's something good, something that will benefit. In our next meeting, we'll give you a little transportation update of what that involves and what it looks like as we move into the next school year.
Thank you very much, because I really do think it's going to be a very beneficial change in the rules for us and our students and our bus drivers as well. So thank y'all very much for taking action on that. Okay, I guess we're going to move on now to the construction report. Ms. Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Derman. The first thing we have are several bids to bring to you tonight, and you should have memos at your desk there.
Oh, yeah.
First item is for a bid that we received on February 25th. We're recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Capital Glass Company of Mississippi in the amount of $135,760 for the replacement of exterior doors at Covington High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1471.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Hines, seconded by Coach Loop. Any discussion? Ms. Hines?
Thank goodness, those doors look very old and ratty. Thank you.
Nice comment. Any other comments, questions? Any from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered. Ms. Tipton.
Item 2 is a bid that we received on February 27th. We are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Binion Sports Surfaces Incorporated in the amount of $299,200 for the track resurfacing at Mandeville High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project number 1318.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Moved by Ms. Tipton. Second by Ms. Mullet. Mr. Foles?
If I could, I mean, I know I'm disappointed Mr. Hennig is not here because he'd certainly be happy to hear about this. Board members, I'll bring to your memory back, I think it was at a Slidell board meeting, that a group of Mandeville parents came to us and brought some things to our attention. Upon our observation, we certainly concurred that the need was very strong there for this track. And I did want to just thank the people from the Mandeville High. I've been very patient with this as we work through this whole process. But what I think you'll see is a track that is up to par with the others in the parish as we move forward with this.
Thank you. Ms. Bellisario?
Just for general information, how long can we expect a track to really last, the longevity?
If you ask the surfacing manufacturers, they'll tell you you would be looking at changing them out probably 8 to 10 years. But we've gotten 12, 15 years out of all of our tracks that we put in back in the late 90s and the early 2000s.
And what we're going to try to do, you know, we had at one time had gotten on a pretty good rotation where we were doing 1 or 2 tracks a year. Of course, with some of the budget cuts that we were dealing with, we've kind of slowed that process down. But Cameron and I have already started the discussion of trying to maybe take all of them and put them in order, priority order, and try to get 1 a year maybe as we move through the process. And if we could get back on that cycle, it probably would benefit everybody.
And I would also add that we do repairs yearly.
Correct.
And we have for a long time, so we keep them up very well.
And what we're talking about here is, in addition to the repairs, a once every 8, 9, 10 years total resurfacing.
Yeah, and there's definitely a need because of our area with the rain and the heat and everything else. They really take an abuse out there. So it is something that we have to continually maintain and update. So any other questions or comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Betancourt.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin. We did Fountain Blues, how long ago? Was that a couple of years?
I knew that was coming, Mr. Betancourt.
Because they want to play volleyball on it now.
Because I seem to recall, along with the Mandeville, did we add something to do with the inside curb or something like that?
In the case of Fontainebleau High School, we did add a concrete curb on the interior around the lane 1 at the outer edge, but because when they were using the lawnmowers on the football field at that location, it was cutting into the asphalt.
And we didn't need to do that here at Mandeville?
No, in this case, we did not have a situation like that.
Okay.
And part of what we're going to do, and
Thank
you know,
you.
we'll address this again, Dale Rourke and his group of people will do in-service with our custodians and others to help us when we're cutting grass and weeding and everything like that. These are huge investments in our schools, so we want to make sure that they last as long as they should.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions by board members? Seeing none. Any from the public? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered. Item 3, Ms. Tipton.
Yes, sir. This bid was received on March 6th. We are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Certified Roofing and Sheet Metal LLC in the amount of $563,370 for Phase 3 re-roofing of the main building at Covington High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board, project number 1472.
Thank you. I have a motion down there. Moved by Mr. Luke, second by Ms. Hines. Any comments or questions by board members? Any? Seeing none. Any from the public? Seeing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered.
Item number 4, these bids were received March 7th. We are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by iBoss Roofing Company Incorporated in the amount of $354,000 for the Phase 2 re-roofing of classroom wings at Slidell High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1327.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Lamarck, seconded by Mr. Alford. Any discussion? Seeing none, any comments by the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered. Number 5.
On March 11th, we received bids, and we are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by CM Combs Construction LLC in the amount of $157,000 for the gym floor replacement at Boyette Junior High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1322.
Thank you. Moved by Ms. Belisario, seconded by Mr. Alford. Any discussion? Any questions by the public? All in favor? Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered.
Item number 6 is for bids received again on March 11th. We are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Roofing Solutions LLC in the amount of $96,800 for the classroom building re-roofing at St. Tammany Junior High School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1324.
Moved by Mr. Alford, seconded by Ms. Mullet. Any questions or comments by board members? Seeing none from the public, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? So ordered.
And item number 7 is for bids received today, March 13th. We are recommending acceptance of the low base bid submitted by Roofing Solutions LLC in the amount of $479,110 for the roofing replacement of the administration gym and classrooms at Folsom Elementary School, St. Tammany Parish School Board Project Number 1319.
Moved by Mr. Loop, second by, I'm sorry, Ms. Hines again? Okay. Any comments or questions by board members? Any from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? So ordered. Okay, we're going on to our monthly construction report. You're up again.
I'll give you a brief overview of what's going on. All of our bond issue projects are progressing. We're in various states of early design phases. We've seen floor plans and floor plan revisions for several projects, including Fontainebleau Junior, Pontchartrain and Tchefuncte, Madisonville Elementary, Mandeville Elementary, and Lyon Elementary Schools. Additionally, we've been reviewing concepts and floor plans for new additions at Abney, Shawteema, and Clearwood. We actually have the first phase for Fontainebleau High School's bond issue work advertised for bids, and we will be bringing those bids to the April board meeting. The renovation projects are underway. It does take time for the architects to get familiar with the school conditions and the scope of work. We met with architects and engineers at Pearl River High during Mardi Gras break, and maintenance really helped out and helped them look at electrical panels and other existing conditions, and we appreciate that. We've also seen the architects for Slidell High, Mandeville Junior, North Shore High, and Carolyn Park. They've been to the schools. They're working on the programming phase of the projects. We expect several of those firms to be taking advantage of the staff-only day coming up next Friday to get back into the schools again. And we are expecting to be back with follow-up meetings at those schools shortly. We are scheduling in the next couple of weeks some follow-up meetings for the HVAC infrastructure projects. Those are both, all three are in schematic design right now. Our Wood Lake project, it continues at about the same pace. They did remove and replace flooring in the gym over the Mardi Gras week, which was an item on the punch list for that phase of work. Superintendent Foles and I are scheduled to meet with School Board Council regarding this project next week. And then, of course, you saw that we received a number of projects for the summer at this board meeting, and we will have some more next month for you to look at as well.
Thank
glad
you.
to answer any questions.
Any questions by board, Ms. Sealy?
Of course, on Pearl River High.
Yes, ma'am.
Does it appear to you that we may have to completely demolish that wing, or is it going to be a total renovation? Or how is that going to work?
Well, the renovation includes more than just one wing. It includes the wing that has the administration and classrooms in it, as well as the building that has the library and classrooms in it. And we'll also be going into the cafeteria band building, as well as doing some work in the gym locker rooms and lobby. So it extends over several areas of the school. And we will have to phase through that. It is possible, we don't know at this point until we see more from the architect and work with the school to really see how the plans shape up as to what portions may be demolished and what portions may just be renovated. So we'll be bringing that to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions by board members? Ms. Bellisario?
On page 5, the Boyette Junior High Little Oak sewer and water tie-in. Pearl Street is the dividing line between the city and the parish at that point. Is this going into the city system?
That's kind of what we're working on.
Okay.
We are in negotiations,
Okay,
trying
all
to
right.
figure out the best way possible to handle that situation. It is right in between there, as they say.
Right.
And I will tell you, as a school system, we're looking at every way possible to get out of the sewer and water business wherever we can. We're a school system, not a sewer and water system, so we are looking at different options, and of course, we'd be coming to you before we did anything. But how many systems do we have that are still seven or eight? 7 or 8 that are, that we run, that we would certainly be willing to look at other people taking over that responsibility for us. And we're starting that process and bringing in some experts, and once we're further along, we'll certainly report to you what we would like to do.
Okay, my question also was, is that a reasonable estimate? I mean, it seems so high to me for just tying into sewage and water. Or is it just?
At the time that we looked at the bond issue, we considered the possibility that we were going to have to go a fair distance with the piping.
Okay, thank you.
And it is some upfront money, but at the end of the day, it's money saved.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing none, looks like we're going to move on to business affairs. Ms. Prevost.
Good evening. The monthly purchasing report is in your packets, and Mrs. Stevens is here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Ms. Tipton.
Thank you, Mr. Dermott. I have a question concerning the cameras. Are they just in really bad shape and they need repairing? And if they are in decent shape, is that something we could sell?
These are video cameras in the buses, and it's to replace some cameras, and it's also to expand the system. Some of our older cameras they're VHS tapes, so there's nobody's gonna want them.
They don't have any of those 3D printers on those.
You got an 8-track player.
Yeah, you may want some of these tapes, cameras. Other than that, you don't want them. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. Okay, second to last item on the agenda, announcements from the president, Ms. Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Dermott. The regular board meeting will be held on Thursday, March 20th. A special board meeting for the purpose of an expulsion appeal hearing will be held on Thursday, March 27th. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then we're going to move to the last item, which is adjournment. Thank y'all very much.